today's video, I am going to go over a material very important in finance, especially when you're working with securities and investments. So one of your first financial licenses that you have to get in order to proceed with the following licenses from FINRA. You have to complete a Series 63. So what is the Series 63? Is a state law test for broker-dealers representatives, which are the agents. Now, what is tested? State law regulations on their application. The main focus of it is to protect the retail customers and requiring the registration of securities professionals and establishing conduct and ethics. The Series 63 exam will be 75 minutes long and total questions 65. Now, the passing score is 72%, which totals at 43 questions of 60 in order to pass the exam. Now, along with this, we're going to begin with the regulatory framework. Now, there's just relevant laws, rules, and regulations that you just have to remember. Now, for state law is the Uniform Securities Act, the USA, which mainly focuses and leans towards the state law, as well as the NASA, American Securities Administrators Act, policy and module rules. Now, that is for the state law. Now, federal law is it goes along with the investment follows as of the Investment Advisors Act of 1940, as well as the National Securities Markets Improvements Act of 1996. The terms and the concepts. So long as you have the concepts of what definitions mean, then you'll be fine and you don't have to worry about struggling of the day of the exam. Persons. What is a person under the Uniform Securities Act? Now, the term person is broadly defined. Now, one definition of a person under the Uniform Securities Act is an individual, a natural person, a human, a corporation and trust, a government and government agencies, or a municipality. The ones that are not a person, it's a minor. Under 18 years old, then he cannot participate, or he cannot be involved in securities. He cannot operate securities or whatsoever. Second one is a deceased person. Third one is a mentally incompetent. So if they have any disorder or anything like that, they don't. A person, obviously, it's an individual, a person, a human, a corporation or a trust, or a government and government agencies or municipality. Let's talk about the administrator. The administrator is the office or agency that enforces the state security laws. So, overview of key persons. Now, we have the broker-dealer, any person affecting securities transactions. And who works for a broker-dealer is the agent. Now, it's an individual, a natural person who represents broker-dealers. Okay? Now, the investment advisor. Investment advisor sells investment-related advice, state registered or federal covered. Okay? Now, who works for the investment advisor is the investment advisor representative, which is an individual, natural person who represents the investment advisory firm. Now, we're going to hit the topic with broker-dealers. So we're going to talk a little bit about broker-dealers, and then we'll go to investment advisors. So, broker-dealer, once again, it's a person who effects security transactions for its own account or the account of others. Where does the broker-dealer need to register? Does the broker-dealer have an office in state, or does the broker-dealer have one residential client in the state? Who is not a broker-dealer? The following are not broker-dealers. 1. Agents, employees of the broker-dealers. 2. Issuers, customers of broker-dealers. 3. Individuals trading their personal brokerage accounts. 4. Out-of-state broker-dealers, no retail and no office in the state. And 5. Banks, saving institutions, and trust companies. Those are not broker-dealers. Now, don't get it mixed up with cover that about the banks and all of that in the next video. Registration. How to register as a broker-dealer. A broker-dealer has to submit an application with the consent to service a process which allows the administrator to receive and process non-criminal security-related complaints against the applicant. You have to pay filing fees. Number 3, publish an announcement of the registration, so to a local newspaper or an ad, or just letting know, saying to the public that, hey, I'm here, I'm available, I'm ABC broker dealer, and I'm here in the city of wherever you reside, and I'll be affecting security transactions. Now 4 is to meet minimum financial bonding and record keeping requirements. Now the financial bonding and record keeping requirements, by meeting the minimum, it varies, but it cannot be greater than the SECs. Okay, so that's for the broker dealer. If not, then it will be not state, but it will turn into federal. Next up, we're gonna go over agents. Now, an agent is an individual who represents a broker in effecting a security transaction. Now, where do agents need to register? Now, we're not talking about broker dealers itself. Now, we're talking about agents. So, an agent has to register in any state where the agent does business. What that means is that where it originates an offer in the state, or where it directs an offer to the state. Something that you want to remember is agent registration is based on offers, not retail or institutional. So who is exempt from registration as an agent? Staff, they do not affect security transactions, so they don't have to be registered. Exempt transactions or sales to existing employees without earning commissions. So if the transaction is exempt, the security is exempt, or they sell to existing customers, but they do not receive compensation or commission for it, then they're exempt of registration. They do not have to register. Registration, you have to submit an application, the form U4. So if it's your first entry, you have to submit a form U4. Okay, a consent to service a process, pay filing fees, and bonding may be required, but not financial or net worth required. The effectiveness, 30 days, noon, 30 days after filing, and every renewal December 31st. Termination, if you choose to terminate, and all parties, or you decide to terminate or go to another firm, then you have to let all the parties know, which is the agent, which you're working for at the moment, your old firm, new firm. Let the administrator know that you're doing the change as well. Now, investment advisors. An investment advisor is a person who provides security-related advice in the ordinary course of business and for compensation. Well, some of the examples of investment advisors are financial planners, pension or retirement consultants, and sports and entertainment representatives. When does a natural person register as an investment advisor? Sole proprietor, okay, registers as an investment advisor or as an investment advisor representative, okay, only as a sole proprietor. Now, investment advisors, who is excluded from the definition of investment advisors under the Uniform Securities Act. So, once again, banks, saving institutions, and trusts, they are excluded. So see the term, excluded, exempt. So exempt, that was when we were talking with broker dealers, which is exempt of registration, but excluded is out. So they cannot be an investment advisor. I'm sorry, from the definition of investment advisor. Just a bank, saving institution, and trust, an agent, broker dealers. Now, that one can be a little tricky because with broker dealers, they are excluded unless the broker dealer that offers the wrap or managed accounts, selling brokerage and advice for a single fee, then that's a whole different party. Then I guess they're exempt. But if it's not a wrap transaction that everything was covered under the one fee, and now the advice was involved in that transaction, then it's exempt. Unless that does not happen, then it is excluded. Now the next excluded term is bona fide financial publications, investment advisor representatives, and late professionals. So late is a term, and I will break it down for you. For lawyers, accountants, teachers, and engineers, advice must be incidental. Okay. Investment advisor registration. Where does the investment advisor register? State level, any office, or retail clients more than 5. So that's another key term you want to really grasp. So it's more than 5. So now in the test, now if it says 5, then it's going to be wrong. It's saying more than 5. So technically 6 of them. I'm sorry. Okay. So that's one way of register. So that's for state level. For federal level, either greater than $100 million assets under management, greater than or equal to 15 states, or advice investment company, which is, we could say a mutual fund company or something like that. Now, just take note, the SEC federal registration is for bigger advisors. So if their assets under management are greater 100 millions, then you'll have to register federal level. State registered investment advisors. Now, where do state investment advisors need to register? Does the investment advisor have an office in the state? So that's the first question. The office in the state, or does the investment advisor have 6 retail clients in the state? Either or. Okay. So if you do not have 6 retail clients, then you need to have office in the state. Now, vice versa, if you don't have office in the state and you have 6 retail clients. Register investment advisors. So how do you register for investment advisors? So I'll submit the form ADV. So with the ADV, you will give the investment advisors details, business practices, fees, conflicts of interest, and disciplinary information. They're filed electronically, and they're along with that, again, as always, you have to send the consent to service of process, pay filing fees, and meet the minimum financial bonding and record keeping requirements of home state. When it's effectiveness, noon, 30 days after filing. Renewal December 31st. Now, federal covered investment advisors. So who is a federal covered investment advisor? Now, it's firms with 100 millions or more in assets under management. If the investment advisor they file if a place of business in the state, or if they have more than 5 retail clients in the state. They have to submit the SEC forms and the filing fees to the administrator of their state where they reside. Now, the median line is 100 millions AUM. Now, if the investment advisor is registered at state level, and within the next 3 years, its assets increase, and he goes over 100 millions under assets under management, then he has 90 days to register federal level. So register to the SEC. Now, what happens And a federal covered investment advisor is registered federal, obviously, and has a decline. We have 180 days to register to state level. Now, why is there a difference between the going up 90 days, decline 180 days? Because in investments, nothing's ever guaranteed. So it goes up and down, and you just don't know the outcome. Now, we're just going to say that he does crucial for the next 3 months, the following months, but then he picks up again. He stays in his, those assets under management levels. Okay, then there's no need of filing state and then filing for federal again. That's just a waste of money and waste of time. Federal covered investment advisors can do business in all states. Now, where does federal covered investment advisors have to notice file? New York, New Jersey, Florida, Texas, and California. Okay, so with the New York, it's either office and state. New Jersey, more than 5 retail clients. Florida as well, 5 or more retail clients. Texas and California, an office and state. We're going to talk about the investment advisor representative, investment advisor representatives. Now, what do they do? So investment advisor representatives provide security related advice, manage client portfolios, determines what advice should be given, solicits new advisory clients to invest to the investment advisors. Okay, so they bring in new and supervises any investment advisor representatives. Investment advisor representatives always register at state level. Always. Investment advisor representatives registration. Now, the IARs, which are the investment advisor representatives, register in any state with either a place of business in the state or with more than 5 clients, retail clients in the state. Federal covered investment, the reps, they can register in any state with a place of business. So the investment advisor representative must register in the state. So with the state level, it's either have a place of business in the state or have more than 5 retail clients. Now with the federal coverage, you just need an office. Investment advisor representative, once again, submit an application, the U4, consent to service of process, pay filing fees, and there's no financial requirements for them. Once again, as always, effectiveness noon, 30 days after filing, renewal every December 31st. Now, termination, you have to notice the administrator of state. So investment advisor representatives of state registered investment advisors, state registered. Now, I have to contact the investment advisory firm, and once again, you have to mention it to all parties. Same with the federal covered investment advisory. Okay. Subject of what is a security. A security is investment of money in a common enterprise with the expectation of profits derived from efforts of others. Okay. In a common enterprise with the expectation of profits derived from efforts of others. Okay. Some examples of securities, which is partial. I'm gonna give a partial list of, or some examples of securities, are stocks, bonds, debentures. Debenture is an unsecured bond. Evidence of indebtedness, mutual fund share, a certificate of interest in oil, gas, and mining title or lease, options, or variable annuity. I'm sorry. Okay. What is not a security? What is some of the what is not a security? Commodities, which is gold and silver, personal residence, currencies, collectibles, interest in a retirement plan, either the 401k, IRA, okay, or the KIOG, and the fixed annuity. So fixed, it's not a security. Now variable, it's a security. There's 3 ways to register securities. Now one of the ways to register securities is through coordination. Now it's coordinating with SEC filing. Now eventually, most common are probably for national distributions. Now they're used to register in multiple states. So that's through coordination in multiple states. Second one, qualification. Now they're filed with an individual state, used for intra-state offerings. Okay, so a local state or an intra-state, Now, notice filing, which is the third one. Provide states with copies of SEC file documents used for federal covered securities. So those are the 3 ways to register securities. Exemptions from registration of a security. Securities are exempt from registration. They don't have to be registered. So one of them is the United States government securities, foreign government national securities, United States and Canadian municipal securities, banks, savings institutions, trust companies, credit unions, insurance companies, stock and bonds, not variable policies, public utility securities, commercial paper. Okay. Now, one of the 2 that can be revocable by the administrator are the employee benefit plans, which probably lead to borrow money, or not-for-profit securities. Okay. Now back to the exempt securities, federal covered securities. I'm sorry. So they notice filed with the SEC. So nationally listed securities, investment company securities, which mutual funds, ETFs, closed-end funds, U.S. government securities, out-of-state municipal securities, and Regulation D private placements. Those are exempt securities.